Now that you've learned what assistive technology is, what the laws are, and how to consider AT for students with an IEP, now it's time to learn how to write that AT into the IEP. Once you've decided on the device, where does it get written into the IEP? And what about AT services? Where do those get written in the IEP? How can someone be sure that all the tasks and activities around the assistive technology have been addressed? Let's talk about the IEP. The IEP is the vehicle where the team gets on the same page regarding the educational goals for the student, and this includes the assistive technology needs of the student. Remember, if it is not on the IEP, it is not required to be used for the student. The IEP needs to describe the student's assistive technology devices and services in regards to the student's educational goals and objectives. In essence, the IEP drives the implementation of assistive technology. And keep in mind, AT is not just a device, but a service. But where does it get written? There is no clear-cut criterion for where AT devices and services should be documented in the IEP. Considering the purpose of the assistive technology can help in selecting the right area. Some common places to put the AT include the following. The present levels of performance. This section provides a place to address assistive technology needs as an integral part of the student's curriculum, taking into account the student's strengths as well as weaknesses. When documenting assistive technology in the present performance levels, the type of technology that is needed as well as the manner in which it will be used should be described. An example would be, Zachary is essentially nonverbal and uses many modes to communicate, including gestures, facial expressions, vocalizations, and use of a Tobii Dynavox augmentative communication device he accesses using eye gaze. Another section is supplementary aids and services. Assistive technology is often provided as a supplemental aid and service when it is required for the children to function in the general education setting. For example, for, say, a student with a reading disability, Josie needs digital text and a text-to-speech reader to fully access the general education curriculum. Goals and objectives. Now, this is a great place to put AT. When developing annual goals and objectives, the IEP team should determine whether or not the student requires assistive technology in order to accomplish them. First, the goals should be developed, and then the need for assistive technology should be addressed. Remember, assistive technology is not the goal. Rather, it is the means to achieving the goal for many students. An example would be using a word processor with a spell and grammar checker program. Tom will compose a one-page paper with 80% accuracy in the use of punctuation, capitalization, and grammar for 5 assignments in a grading period. State assessment. Since the reauthorization of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, the IEP team must address the modifications that the student requires in order to participate in statewide and district-wide assessments. For some students with disabilities, assistive technology may be a required accommodation. The specific assistive technology needs for the state testing need to be noted here. There are also many other areas on the IEP where assistive technology can be included. For more information on where AT can be documented on the IEP and some great examples, visit the Ocali website provided and look through Section 6, Writing AT into the IEP. The key to remember is that assistive technology devices and services required by a student with a disability should be clearly documented in the student's IEP. The type of technology that the student requires and the manner in which it will be used should be specified so that all the parties to the IEP, including the parents and the student when appropriate, have a clear understanding of the technology and how it will be used. Now, you all remember that AT is also a service, right? If you want more information on what the laws regarding assistive technology are, please review the second video in this series, AT in Special Education, What Does the Law Say? We can't forget about services when documenting AT needs. So often the device, once decided upon, is purchased and provided to the student, but the team forgets to address the training, maintenance, or repair needs that would enable the student to use the AT effectively. Services include training, not just to the student, but to all who may assist the student with the goals that the AT device is being used for. So how does the team remember everything? How do you know if you've considered all that you need to? There's a lot to consider when you're talking about implementing assistive technology. Well, there's a form for that. You will see on this slide several website links where you can find implementation forms that have been created for assistive technology. An implementation form is not a part of the IEP, but it is a very helpful form to guide the team so that everyone knows who is doing what by when around the assistive technology. This form serves to remind the team of equipment tasks, such as installing software or customizing a communication device, as well as who's responsible for that task. It can also remind the team of training needs, who will be trained, when, and by whom. These forms also remind the team about ongoing monitoring and evaluation of the device. Is it working like we expected? Is the student successful? Good implementation of AT requires that the team think about their roles and responsibilities. For example, on this form from NATRI, who the contact person will be for coordinating efforts is noted here. What are the responsibilities of the different team members? Remember, one person does not have to do everything. Think about a student with a speech-generating device. Communication pages will need to be made and updated so that the student has access to the current curriculum vocabulary. The responsibility for making those pages could fall to an aide in the class, a teacher, a parent, a speech therapist. As long as it is agreed upon by the team and documented, it doesn't matter who. Other things to be considered are timelines for purchasing and implementing the device, including when training will be done and when the student will be using the tool successfully. How the assistive technology will be used across home, school, and the community environments, and when the device will be used across those environments, especially if the student will need the device for homework, is noted on this form here. It also includes the curriculum domain for that AT so that it is very clear to the team why the AT is being used in each of those areas. How, who, why, and when everyone will be trained also needs to be considered, especially if they are using the device in multiple settings. And finally, there should also be a plan in place for when the device is not working, which would include any backup tools or devices, and who is going to get the tool fixed. These can include non-AT tools and strategies, as long as the student continues to make progress on their goals and be successful. On this form, that could be put in the equipment task area along with any maintenance needs the AT tool may have. We hope this video series helped you understand what assistive technology is, what the laws are regarding assistive technology and the IEP, and how to appropriately consider it on an IEP. We also provided information on how to document it appropriately on the IEP and best practices on implementation of assistive technology. We provided a lot of information. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at Parents Helping Parents.